Hello everybody. Today I would like to talk a little bit about a famous ship, a ship that has become famous both in literature and in film, while in reality, in truth, it had rather prosaic life as most ships really did. As you can tell from the collection of books that I have arranged here, we will be talking about HMS Surprise. And because who else but me would spoil the fun, let me point out that HMS is actually inappropriate to be used in this period. The first reference to HMS, rather than the expanded words, does not date until after the 1830s, and in fact it becomes standard reference to Royal Navy vessels only around the time of the Crimean War. Before that, in original documents, you're going to see His Majesty's ship, HM's ship, spelled out, any combination of this, but never ever HMS. So, having started with this clarification, let's move into the vessel. The vessel, of course, was perfectly real ship. It was built as a corvette by the French around 1794. By 1796, it was captured by the British. It was brought into the service and remained in the service until 1802. At the time of the Peace of Amiens, the ship was sold out and thus ended its real historical career. Not so in literature, however. For those of you who love naval novels, a genre by itself, I'm sure you're all well acquainted with Patrick O'Brien's masterpieces, 20 completed and 1 incomplete novels dealing with the Royal Navy officer Jack Aubrey and his friend, the surgeon Stephen Maturin. Much of the books, it is no great secret, is based on historical fact. One of the many officers on which Jack Aubrey is based, of course, is none other but the 10th Earl of Dundonald, Thomas Cochrane. Returning to the ship. In the novels, Surprise is Jack Aubrey's favorite vessel. She is fast, she is weatherly, she handles beautifully. That, unfortunately, is Mr. O'Brien's talented pen that describes her that way. In reality, the hull probably was rather luridly, not exceptionally fast, and did not really distinguish herself as a sailor in any form or fashion. Her most famous action, of course, was the capture, or rather the recapture, of the frigate Hermione, which had rebelled, massacred its officers, and had been surrendered to the Spaniards. Captain Edward Hamilton, who had the Surprise at the time, organized the cutting out of the ship. He was sent to blockade the port and capture the vessel the moment the Spaniards tried to move her. But as he was running out of provisions, and especially out of water, he was running out of time to wait for the ship. So he organized a cutting out expedition, entered under 300 guns plus rowing guard boats with his boats, the ship being far in the offing, and recaptured Hermione and took her out. So this is the major claim to fame of the historical Surprise. In the books, of course, she continues her career to the end of the Napoleonic Wars, first as a Royal Navy vessel, subsequently as a private man of war hired to the Crown by the owners Maturin and Aubrey. The ship, of course, was also shown in this strange film, Master and Commander. There were a number of issues with the film, starting with the title. Master and Commander cannot command a frigate, and frigate Surprise most definitely was. So the very title is already wrong. Go through the point that in the Royal Navy, an officer of the watch could not be a mere midshipman on a frigate. Pass through the thing that ought to have caught pretty much every American out there, namely that in Christianity, suiciders cannot be buried following the Christian rite. And yet in the film there is the scene where the service is read for the midshipman who had just committed suicide. There are a number of other issues, but we shall not advise them. Otherwise, the filmmakers had really technically done the best that could be done. They had purchased the replica of the frigate, the 24-gun frigate Rose, and repainted it and renamed it Surprise for the film. As a matter of fact, it worked quite well. It looked convincing. I doubt that any of the viewers had sat down to count how many gun ports per side the vessel has. Because of the exceptional popularity of the novels of Patrick O'Brian, and therefore the interest developed into the Surprise, the great British historian, Mr. Brian Lavery, produced a book dedicated to the historical and fictitious Surprise. The book is in collaboration with Geoff, the talented maritime artist, whose paintings decorate most of the covers of Patrick O'Brian's books. The first part of the book, of course, deals specifically with the Surprise as a historical ship. It deals with frigates in general, starts with the history of Unité and its capture into the Navy, continues through the early career of the vessel, and it goes also through organization of life aboard, the crewing of the vessel, the many stations with exceptions from the log of the ship. This is also where Mr. Lavery describes the fact that she probably was not the superb sailor that we see in the novels of Patrick O'Brian. While we are on the subject of this, I should also point out that the question whether French vessels really were so far superior and faster than British vessels has been addressed by no other than the American maritime scholar, yacht designer, draftsman, historian, Howard Chappell, who very rightly pointed out that if they were such superior sailors to the British, how come so many of them ended up in British hands after long chases to windward? Returning to the book, of course, is addressed not only to those of us who are passionately interested in the O'Brian series. It is also dedicated, at least partially, to ship modelers, with sets of ship modeling drawings developed here by Karl-Heinz Markart, which are detailed enough to produce a real model of the vessel, an accurate model of the vessel. These drawings are based on the original drawings as the lines were taken off the Surprise after the vessel was captured from the French. As probably most of you are aware, it was the practice of the Navy Board, the technical branch of the Admiralty, to take the lines off of every and semi-valuable prize taken into the Navy. Not all the ships whose lines were taken off were really valuable prizes. Not many of them were necessarily considered fast or good sailors. But thanks to this practice, now we have incredible archive of information on vessels from the 18th century. And thanks to that collection, we know so much also about American privateering schooners, for example, of this period, since the majority of them ended up in British captivity eventually. This book is also featured on a sister channel to this one, OLHA Batchvarov's ship modeling channel. And the link is over here. There you will see a page by page pacing through the book, and we'll get you more details. But it is a highly valued book in my library, and it is highly recommended, as I do recommend pretty much everything that has been written by Brian Lavery. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you a very good day. Thank you for your attention.